Hey everyone, today we are going to be doing a craft together and we are going to be doing something a little bit fandom inspired. So today we are going to be making a Star Wars pencil jar, and I'm personally going to be making mine look like the best character in the franchise, R2D2. So to get started, all you're going to need is a glass jar. This is an old jelly jar. I just washed off the adhesive in the sink. You can use anything you have laying around. And then paintbrushes and acrylic paint in the color of whichever character you're going to be using. And then since R2D2 does kind of have a complex design, I am going to actually be looking at a picture of our little buddy R2 to make sure that I'm getting all of his little bits and bobs in the right place. Let's get started. So the first step is to paint your jar in the base color of your character. So you can see I've already started painting the base of my R2D2 white with my acrylic paint and my paintbrush. And I'm just holding the rim and turning it as I go and trying to get the main part of the jar painted. If you want to paint the rim and paint the bottom, you'll have to do that separately from the rest of the jar, just so you don't end up with messy hands and a messy workspace. So once you get a nice solid coat of paint on your jar, go ahead and flip it upside down like that and let it rest on the rim for the paint to dry. This is also a good time to paint the bottom if that's what you want to do. Just make sure it's all the way dry before you move on. So once your main coat of paint is dry, you're just gonna set this on its side and you're gonna paint the rim part of it. So again, I'm gonna get my acrylic paint and my paintbrush, and I am just going to rotate this around as I paint the rim. This is why it's important that you let it dry, because if you start to rotate it while it's wet, you are gonna get paint everywhere. All right, and so you just do that all the way around. And then if you're using cheap paint like I am, you might want to go ahead and just repeat this whole process for a second coat before we end up putting on our character details. Okay, so it is time for me to start painting on the details. So the very tippity top of R2 is a gray or silver color, so I'm going to start painting that part of my jar gray. And then I will let that dry and move on to the next thing. So as you can see, I went ahead and painted the top of the jar gray, and then I put our little blue stripe around it. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put all of the blue detailing on the front of the jar. And at this point, you kind of decide how detailed you want your craft to be. I'm obviously not going to put every little dot and dial on R2 because that would take me forever, but I am going to do enough that you kind of get the gist of the thing. So, you know, if you're doing Chewbacca, maybe don't paint every hair, but make him look furry enough. All right, now that the blue details are dry, I'm gonna go in with a little bit of black and a little bit of red, and then I should be done. And just like that, everything is dry and we are done. So I'm probably gonna let this sit for about another couple of hours just to make sure that it's completely dry before I handle it too much. It feels dry, but you know, just to be safe. And then I'm just going to use it to keep either paintbrushes or pencils and pens in or something like that. So remember not to eat or drink anything out of it, because if you do, you will essentially be drinking acrylic paint, and that's not fun for anyone. But it is great as a fun little decorative craft to spruce up your desk or a table or something like that. I hope you all enjoyed. Thanks so much for watching.